You are one bite away from finding out why your body might be running on empty even if you eat healthy. Somewhere on this list is a seed the size of a pinhead that Aztec warriors carried into battle instead of food because it worked better than food. Somewhere else on this list is a bean that built the muscle of Roman gladiators before anyone had ever heard the word protein shake. And at number 1, there's a plant so loaded with the exact raw materials your body needs to manufacture its own creatine that a single serving rivals what most people take from a supplement tub. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. You don't have to buy creatine. Your body makes it every single day inside your own liver and kidneys using 3 amino acids: arginine, glycine, and methionine. And those 3 amino acids are hiding, right now, in foods sitting in your kitchen cabinet that you have probably walked past 1,000 times without a second thought. Stick with me, because by the end of this list, you're going to look at your grocery store completely differently. Before we get into it, hit that subscribe button, because every week we're breaking down the science of foods your body was actually built to run on. No gimmicks, no pills, just the biochemistry. Let's get into these 15 creatine-rich superfoods that will build you instantly. 1. Peanuts. Let's start somewhere familiar, because one of the most underestimated creatine-supporting foods in existence is something most people already have in their pantry and think of as a snack for children. Peanuts have been cultivated across South America, Africa, and Asia for thousands of years. Indigenous communities in the Amazon basin relied on them as a foundational food for sustained energy and endurance. In traditional Chinese medicine, peanuts weren't treated as a treat. They were prescribed as a tonic for nourishing the blood and building vital energy. Modern biochemistry explains exactly why. Peanuts are one of the richest plant sources of arginine, the amino acid your kidneys use as the starting material for creatine production. Your body builds creatine through a 2-step process. Arginine and glycine combine in the kidneys to form a precursor called guanidinoacetate, which then travels to the liver and gets converted into creatine. No arginine, no creatine. A 100-gram serving of peanuts delivers roughly 3.1 grams of arginine, one of the highest concentrations of any plant food. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition has linked adequate arginine intake to stronger creatine biosynthesis, especially in people whose dietary creatine intake is naturally low. Beyond arginine, peanuts bring monounsaturated fats for steady energy, vitamin E to guard muscle cells against oxidative stress, and magnesium, a mineral you'll see again and again on this list because of its role in ADP production. Eat them whole, as natural peanut butter, or tossed into a stir-fry. Consistency is what makes this one work. 2. Tofu. Tofu has an image problem in the West, dismissed as bland and second best. That reputation is nutritionally wrong. Tofu has anchored longevity-linked diets across East Asia for over 2,000 years, and in traditional Chinese and Japanese medicine, it was considered a tonifying food that supported kidney function and sustained energy. Tofu comes from soybeans, and soybeans contain all 3 amino acids your body needs for creatine synthesis: arginine, glycine, and methionine, making tofu one of the few plant foods offering the complete amino acid foundation in a single serving. Research in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has repeatedly shown soy protein can match animal protein for supporting muscle protein synthesis when eaten in adequate amounts. A half cup of firm tofu provides around 10 grams of complete protein, along with calcium, iron, and isoflavones shown in clinical studies to reduce markers of exercise-related muscle damage. Press it firm, marinate it deep, roast it until it crisps. The people who say they don't like tofu simply haven't learned to cook it. 3. Edamame. There's an old saying that translates roughly as "eat young soybeans to stay young yourself," and the biochemistry actually backs up the folk wisdom here. Edamame, harvested before the soybean fully hardens, has fed farmers, martial artists, and the elderly across Japan, China, and Korea for centuries. 1 cup of cooked edamame delivers about 17 grams of complete protein, including meaningful arginine, plus a strong dose of leucine, the amino acid that acts as the molecular trigger for muscle protein synthesis. A study in the journal Nutrients found leucine-rich plant proteins produced comparable rates of muscle protein synthesis to animal sources when total intake was matched. Beyond protein, edamame supplies folate, vitamin K, and iron, supporting the oxygen delivery that working muscles depend on. Steam them, salt them lightly, and eat them daily, or shell them into grain bowls and soups. 4. Lentils. Before protein shakes, before creatine supplements, there were lentils, and they fed warriors. Roman armies carried them on campaign. Isotopic analysis of gladiator bones shows a diet dominated by plant protein, legumes chief among them. In ancient Egypt, lentils were stored in tombs, considered too important to leave behind even in death. A single cooked cup provides about 1.3 grams of arginine along with glycine and significant overall protein. Lentils are also exceptional sources of iron, critical for oxygen transport to muscle, and folate, which supports red blood cell production. Their fiber feeds gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, lowering the systemic inflammation that otherwise lingers as muscle damage between training sessions. Research in the British Journal of Nutrition found regular legume consumption was associated with better muscle mass maintenance in aging adults, independent of total protein intake. Red lentils cook in under 20 minutes. Dal, lentil soup, lentil tacos, the options are nearly endless. 5. Pumpkin seeds. This is where the list gets extraordinary, because pumpkin seeds may be the single most completely equipped plant food for creatine biosynthesis available to us. Aztec and Mesoamerican cultures used them as both food and medicine, pressed into oils and eaten by warriors before battle, and prescribed in Mexican folk medicine for kidney support, the exact organ where the first step of creatine synthesis actually happens. Pumpkin seeds provide arginine in high concentration, glycine as the second required amino acid, and they're one of the best plant sources of magnesium, the mineral required to actually run the ADP production that creatine fuels. They also deliver zinc, a cofactor for the enzymes involved in protein synthesis and muscle repair. A 28-gram serving provides 150 milligrams of magnesium, nearly 40% of the recommended daily intake, along with 2.2 milligrams of zinc and over 8 grams of complete protein. Research published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition has tied magnesium status directly to muscle performance, strength output, and recovery speed. If there's one seed to build a creatine-supporting diet around, this is it. 6. Sesame seeds. This is where I want you to notice the pattern. The exact plants humans have relied on for physical strength across thousands of years keep turning out to be the same plants modern science validates as creatine precursor sources. Sesame is one of the oldest cultivated crops on Earth, with evidence dating back to at least 3,500 BCE in the Indus Valley. Greek and Roman athletes ate sesame cakes before competition. Ayurvedic medicine treated sesame oil as one of the most nourishing substances available. Sesame seeds provide about 2.6 grams of arginine per 100 grams, comparable to peanuts, along with notably higher methionine than most other seeds, directly supporting the second stage of creatine synthesis. They also deliver calcium, zinc, and copper for muscle function and connective tissue integrity. A study in the Journal of Medicinal Food found sesame lignans showed significant antioxidant activity, protecting muscle cells from exercise-related oxidative stress. Toast them over rice and noodles, or use tahini as a spread and smoothie base. 7. Hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are, without qualification, one of the most nutritionally remarkable plant foods in existence, and they remain underused for reasons that have nothing to do with their nutrition. Cultivation traces back at least 8,000 years in China, where hemp seeds were classified in traditional herbalism as a superior tonic food, prescribed for weakness and recovery from physical depletion. Hemp seeds provide all 9 essential amino acids in a ratio that closely mirrors the amino acid profile of human muscle tissue, with a 30-gram serving delivering about 9.5 grams of complete protein, including meaningful arginine and glycine. Their standout feature is an omega-3 to omega-6 ratio of roughly 3:1, consistently identified in research as ideal for controlling the systemic inflammation that accelerates muscle protein breakdown. A study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found hemp protein showed bioavailability comparable to egg white protein, a striking result for a plant source. Add 3 tablespoons to a smoothie or yogurt and you're done, no prep required. 8. Chia seeds. Chia was the performance fuel of the ancient world. Aztec warriors carried it as their primary sustaining food on military campaigns, and Aztec runners known for covering vast distances without rest carried small pouches of chia as their only provision for journeys of hundreds of miles. The word chia itself derives from a word meaning strength. Chia's combination of protein, omega-3 fats, and soluble fiber produces a uniquely sustained energy release. That soluble fiber forms a gel in the digestive tract that slows carbohydrate absorption, keeping blood glucose stable, which keeps the metabolic environment stable enough for creatine-supported muscle function to actually operate well. Chia is also one of the most concentrated plant sources of ALA, the omega-3 your body converts into the anti-inflammatory compounds that reduce exercise-induced muscle damage. Research in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found chia supplementation reduced inflammation markers and improved recovery time in trained athletes. Soak them overnight into a gel or stir them dry into yogurt and oatmeal. If you're starting to realize how deep this rabbit hole of plant-based performance nutrition actually goes, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach more people looking for real, evidence-based answers instead of marketing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this is the moment, because we cover exactly this kind of nutrition science every single week. Let's keep going. 9. Flax seeds. Flax is one of the oldest cultivated plants in recorded history, with evidence of cultivation dating back at least 30,000 years. Ancient Egyptians wove it into linen and ate the seeds as medicine. Hippocrates prescribed flax seeds for inflammation. Flax seeds are among the richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, but unlike most omega-3 sources, they also contain lignans, phytoestrogens with potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties shown in clinical research to lower systemic inflammation. For creatine and muscle health, flax contributes arginine and glycine to the amino acid pool, but its deeper value is calming the inflammatory environment that creatine-supported repair depends on. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found flaxseed supplementation significantly reduced C-reactive protein, the primary blood marker of systemic inflammation. Grind flax before eating, since whole seeds pass through mostly undigested, and stir a tablespoon into smoothies or oatmeal daily. 10. Chickpeas. Chickpeas have sustained civilizations on 3 continents for over 10,000 years, feeding Roman armies, anchoring Middle Eastern diets from Mesopotamia to the Levant, and running unbroken through Indian culinary tradition to this day. A single cooked cup provides about 1.3 grams of arginine along with glycine and a strong enough amino acid profile to meaningfully support creatine synthesis, especially alongside complementary plant proteins. Chickpeas are also excellent sources of manganese, a cofactor for one of the primary antioxidant enzymes protecting muscle cells during exercise, and they carry roughly 12 grams of fiber per cooked cup, feeding the gut bacteria that keep systemic inflammation low. Research in the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism found regular legume consumption was independently associated with greater muscle mass and better physical function in older adults, even after controlling for total protein intake. Roast them for a crunchy snack, blend them into hummus, or drop them into a curry. 11. Quinoa. Quinoa isn't technically a grain. It's a seed, related to spinach and beets, and the Inca called it the mother of all grains. Incan warriors ate quinoa mixed with fat as a battlefield ration, and the runners who carried messages across the Andes at oxygen-thin altitudes fueled themselves on it. Quinoa is one of the few plant foods containing all 9 essential amino acids in proportions that qualify it as a complete protein, meaning the arginine, glycine, and methionine needed for creatine synthesis are all present in one food. A cup of cooked quinoa provides about 8 grams of complete protein, plus 118 milligrams of magnesium and a solid dose of iron. Research in the Journal of the Science of Food and Agriculture found quinoa protein showed higher digestibility than many cereal proteins, with bioavailability comparable to casein in animal models. Use it as your grain bowl base, cook it in broth, or pair it with legumes for a complete amino acid meal. 12. Tempeh. Tempeh takes soybeans, already one of the most powerful plant foods available, and ferments them into something even more bioavailable. Originating in Java, Indonesia, tempeh has fed Southeast Asian laborers and farmers for centuries, and the physical endurance of those communities was noted long before anyone understood the biochemistry behind it. Fermentation reduces phytic acid, which normally blocks mineral absorption, breaks proteins into shorter peptide chains that absorb more easily, and even generates meaningful vitamin B12, a nutrient almost absent from unfermented plant foods. That means the arginine, glycine, and methionine in tempeh are available to your body at a higher effective rate than in unfermented soy. A 100-gram serving provides about 19 grams of protein along with prebiotics and probiotics that support gut health, which directly influences the inflammation that governs muscle recovery. Slice it thin, pan-fry it in coconut oil until deeply golden, or crumble it into a chili. 13. Soybeans. Whole soybeans, cooked simply, are one of the most complete plant foods ever documented, and their link to creatine production is about as direct as it gets. Cultivated in East Asia for over 5,000 years, soybeans were classified in traditional Chinese medicine as one of the 5 sacred grains, foundational to long-term health. 1 cup of cooked soybeans delivers about 29 grams of protein, exceeding many meat sources, and includes substantial arginine, glycine, and methionine, the complete set required for creatine synthesis. The methionine content matters specifically because it drives the second step of creatine production, the liver's conversion of guanidinoacetate into creatine. A study in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition found soy protein produced muscle mass gains equivalent to whey protein over a 12-week resistance training program. Soybeans also carry iron, calcium, and vitamin K2 for bone density, the structural foundation every muscle depends on. Cook them into soups, grain bowls, or stews. 14. Sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds get called healthy, but rarely get the specific credit they deserve. Indigenous North American peoples cultivated sunflowers for over 4,000 years before European contact, grinding the seeds into flour and pressing them into oil to fuel long hunts and migrations. Sunflower seeds provide about 2.4 grams of arginine per 100 grams, along with methionine relevant to the creatine pathway, and they're among the richest plant sources of vitamin E, an antioxidant that specifically protects muscle cell membranes from the oxidative damage that prolongs recovery. Research in the European Journal of Nutrition found vitamin E supplementation significantly reduced markers of exercise-induced muscle damage in trained athletes. Sunflower seeds also provide selenium, a cofactor for your body's master antioxidant enzyme, and meaningful magnesium for ADP production. Eat them raw or lightly toasted, or blend them into seed butter. 15. Spirulina. We save this one for last because it's categorically different from everything else on this list. Spirulina isn't a plant, a grain, or a seed. It's a cyanobacterium, a microscopic photosynthetic organism, and it may be the single most nutritionally concentrated food nature has ever produced. The Aztec harvested it from Lake Texcoco and used it to fuel the runners and warriors who kept their civilization moving. Across the ocean, communities around Lake Chad in Africa independently harvested the same organism as a protein staple for survival in resource-scarce environments. 2 civilizations, 2 continents, the same discovery, made separately because the results were undeniable. Spirulina is roughly 60 to 70% protein by dry weight, higher than any meat, legume, or seed on this list, and that protein includes arginine, glycine, and methionine, the complete foundation for creatine synthesis, at an estimated bioavailability of 83 to 85%, meaning your body actually absorbs and uses more of what you eat. Spirulina also provides phycocyanin, a pigment shown in clinical research to have potent antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects that specifically inhibit the enzymes driving muscle damage and delayed recovery. A study in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found spirulina supplementation significantly increased time to fatigue and reduced exercise-induced oxidative damage in trained subjects. Add a teaspoon to a smoothie, start small, and build up as your palate adjusts. Here's the framework to take with you. Supply the raw amino acids with peanuts, pumpkin seeds, and sesame seeds. Build your complete protein foundation with hemp seeds, quinoa, soybeans, and spirulina. Support the mineral machinery with magnesium and zinc from pumpkin seeds and sesame, and iron from lentils and chickpeas. Cut the inflammation that degrades muscle tissue with omega-3s from chia and flax. This isn't a supplement protocol. It's a food strategy available in any kitchen, on any budget, starting today. The plants your ancestors relied on weren't nutritionally inferior. They were quietly doing the exact biochemical work the supplement industry has spent years convincing you only a tub of powder could do. If this changed the way you think about food, hit subscribe and turn on the bell, because every week we're breaking down exactly which foods your body was actually built to run on and why.